we're gonna delete all of them. So how we're gonna do that is there's an asset database.find assets, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna return a list of GUIDs. GUIDs is like unique ID for each asset, and from that we can get the paths. So let's have a look at how we can do that. This will be another static function, public static void get asset paths string folder path. Okay, so now we say return asset. Oh, we're going to be using a bit of link here. System.link. Okay, we're going to return asset database dot find assets. This is where we could pass in a filter if we wanted to only have assets that have awesome in the name or something like that. But we're gonna want every file that's in this asset path. And it also, you'll notice that it expects an array, even though we're only searching in one folder. That's okay. So what we can do is we can create a new array, and it's just going to be an array with one element in it. Okay, so now we've got, that's returning a list of, it's returning a list of GUIDs. GUIDs will be returned, and from those GUIDs we can then create our we can then find our asset paths rather. So let's say we go assets, and then we go select GUID asset database .GUID to asset path and GUID. So what we're doing is we're saying get the GUIDs, and then turn those GUIDs into paths. We're also going to turn that into an array, and we'll make sure we're returning a string array. All right, beautiful. Now that we have now we can say get asset paths with our folder name. Now for each of them we want to delete it, and this is where link would work. So we could do, like, if we wanted to be really simple, we could just say toList for each. But I think it is worth to know how to do an extension method, and just to make our lives a little bit easier, we'll probably use it down the track with a few other things as well. So I'm going to quickly create an extension method for our enumerators, which will allow us to say, let's see, I'll just do a little pseudocode for each path delete asset. Okay, so let's just have a look at how we're going to do that extension method. I'm going to open up a new utility class. I'm just going to call it extension methods.cs. Public, it's going to be public static class extension methods, and this is going to using system.collections.generic. Okay, so if you haven't seen this before, it's kind of a little bit weird syntax, but it means it'll work for every array, for every list, for every enumerable, IEnumerable. Okay, so let's have a look at what this looks like. So we say public static void for each. For each, this is what we call a generic function. I'm not really going to go into what exactly that means, but it kind of means it's like a really flexible function. It'll work for lots of different types. Okay, this IEnumerable of type T source, and what we're going to pass in we're going to pass in an action of the same type, and we're just going to say for each var t element, var element in source action element. So really we're just encompassing this into a way that's going to be more readable for when we're using lots of link queries, etc. So So when we go to our asset utility, you notice now, so get asset pass is returning an array, and now we can say dot for each.